Hello indeed, Friday people. I'm going to use the OECD as a summing up of what I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks and what they call the near-term global economic outlook, and this is their interim assessment. Okay. Second slide is their annualized quarter-on-quarter GDP growth in percent. United States at the top. Cut off on the right-hand side are projections for quarter 3 of this year and quarter 4. United States coming in at 2, blah, and 2.4, blah, plus. Japan minus 2.3 and 0. Germany minus 0.5 and minus 0.8. France minus 0.4 and 0.2, Italy minus 2.9 and minus 1.4, United Kingdom minus 0.7 and 0.2, and Canada 1.3 and 1.9. Now, my point on this is, that's an awful lot of the world that isn't doing very well, except the United States is meant to go from blah to blah plus. I don't quite see that. I don't see where the United States it's going to get its boost from to go from blah 2 in the third quarter up to blah plus in the fourth quarter. But otherwise, you can see the figures are so just hanging around 0. And this is becoming very popular. Right, risks to the outlook. These look sensibly written, put in bullet points, and I'm sure they could go on for pages about it, and I could as well. Intensification of the euro area instability further dampening global confidence. I would say that the Draghi action of yesterday maybe will have put a dampener, a quietener on Europe blowing up before the end of this year. But it doesn't mean that the euro is going to do well. As in the euro area, it's not going to employ any people. It just means that it's less explosive in total. Excessive fiscal contraction, especially in the United States, January the 1st and January the 2nd in the United States. Big things are programmed in to happen unless Congress does something. And the only thing that Congress realistically can do is step up and kick the can down the road. In other words, just say we'll delay all those January the 1st and January the 2nd things. But when they do the can kicking to delay it, it will be another knock to their credibility, because it will be so obvious that that's what they're doing, is just kicking the can down the road again. Continued disappointment in labour market outcomes knocking consumer confidence. That seems very decent. That whatever happens from here on into the end of the year in Europe, in the United States, employment prospects are not really going to change anything at all. Even for the American presidential election, the unemployment rate is not likely to go completely up or completely down. And what it is now is what people will get to vote on, because nothing much is going to change. Further increases to already high oil prices. That's a strange one. I don't know how to take that. As in, we've seen that the United States of America is put in as blah, and everybody else is just below blah, blah minus. But it looks like even blah minus, with all the people in the world, is enough to keep oil prices high. And any even sniff of the world recovering and oil prices will further increase, as noted there. Next clip, world growth has slowed markedly, and it's an interesting sort of chart just to see OECD in blue and non-OECD in red. And you can see that that's their growth, the sticky upness or sticky downness, and you can see that major growth obviously comes from the non-OECD, but as the OECD goes down, also the non-OECD comes down as well. because they are the exporters to the OECD, who are the importers. Yep. Moving on, unemployment is high and in Europe is on the rise. Forget Japan, their story is too complicated to go into, so we'll deal with blue and red. At the height of the crisis, we can say that both were at 10% unemployment, and even 2011, both at 10%. A long time at both at 10%. 10%, making 20, just numbers making 20. At the moment now, America's come down, the United States has come down, and Europe's gone up, and the number's still about 20. If we treat the United States and Europe as a whole, unemployment is still averaging at about 10%. And I'm thinking of that for the demand side, and for the mental thoughts of businesses. Is this good enough for me to invest into? And things like that. Right, let's move on to China's trade impacted by the euro crisis. That's what they call it, but I wouldn't call it that. And it's our last chart. And 2009, right over far left, we've got the Great Recession dip. Now, these are China's exports by destination, year-on-year growth. You can see the numbers are minus 20 and 30 at the height of the Great Recession, or the depths of the Great Recession. And their provenance, is China, destination, North America in blue, Asia in green, and the Eurozone in red. So they've swung right back up 50% in 2010, but that was a year-on-year increase from the Great Recession depths. So they didn't have much to beat, so to beat it at 50% was acceptable and normal, but you can see it's come down and down ever since then. These are exports to the destinations. Red Eurozone is now down below the zero line, and the other two have been tracking down since 2010. And that's the big picture, and that sums it up, that the demand side from the OECD, the buying, the importing of exports, manufacturing from non-OECD is going down. That's it. That's the picture. That's the whole big picture. That's the way the world works. OECD buys stuff that non-OECD makes. OECD is short of money. Demand is limited for those imports. Naturally, the non-OECD contracts as well. Double contraction, world recession. Somewhere along the line, there needs to be more demand side if the old not OECD and non-OECD system is to be kept going. But obviously it's a ridiculous system that demand should be from OECD, and the non-OECD is just to provide the things to fill that demand. It's a bad system, it's changing, but we're caught in the interregnum between systems, and for the moment nobody knows what any new system would be. Unless you do. If you do, comments. Bye.